Well, we've now seen a bevy of different bundles and configurations and information coming from Studio Wildcard concerning Ark Survival Ascended and Ark 2. Now, I'll admit, it does get a bit confusing, as each new community crunch seems to omit information while adding in other bits. You've got different pricings, content, features. Anyways, welcome back to the channel. This is LukeTheDuke, and here are 5 items to keep your eye on as ASA approaches its October release date. So, I've been seeing a bunch of questions flying around, as well as a ton of misinformation concerning what to expect concerning Ark Survival Ascended, and in some part, Ark 2. And so, I got to work and put together this guide. By the way, I wanted to again thank you for the awesome reception you've been showing my Ark uploads. In case you haven't yet smashed that sub button, please do so. It's completely free and it really helps out the channel. Also, make sure to ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Likes, comments, and shares are also greatly appreciated. And with that, let's get started with the official wildcard announcements. And we've now seen 3 different Ark Survival Ascended pricing / content info drops. 4, if you include the tweet stating that the UE5 upgrade would be completely free. And these official statements started back on March 31st. And each time, the bundles and content have completely changed. Let's quickly recap the bundles, and I will highlight some key features that have slowly been removed. Okay, March 31st, 2023 rolls around, and Community Crunch 355 is where we first learn of the Ark Respawn bundle for $49.99, which included the base version of ASA plus Ark 2. This was reduced to $39.99 for PS5 owners, as they can't get Ark 2. By the way, that's a stupid decision by Wildcard, but whatever. After that, it was an additional $19.99 for the Explorer's Pass, which included Scorched Earth, Aberration, and Extinction, and then another $19.99 for the Genesis Pass, which included Gen Part 1 and Part 2. Now, as of this March 31st announcement, Ark Survival Ascended was to include the Island, Scorched Earth, and the Survival of the Fittest Scorched Earth variant, along with cross-platform multiplayer, cross-platform modding monitored by Overwolf. And by the way, I did a full video on Overwolf. Check in the video description for that one. And then there was to be cross-platform anti-cheat and QOL improvements, balance, and gameplay changes. Also included in this March 31st announcement, a new paid canonical story expansion pack was teased, coming in Q4 2023. Now, this DLC was to include 4 new creatures, with more details coming out later this year. As expected, the week after that initial announcement, Wildcard and their announced Ark Respawn bundle was completely flamed. And so, we got a completely new bundle version coming to us on April the 7th, that's 1 week later, with Community Crunch 356. ASA was now completely split away from Ark 2. The price was set at $59.99 and would include all the remastered canon and community-created maps to be slowly released from launch all the way into Q2 2024. At this point, ASA was still set to release with the Island, Scorched Earth, and the Survival of the Fittest variants for both of those maps as well. Okay, so TLDR version here, no Ark 2 now in this bundle, lower total price, included all the maps, both canon and community created. Survival of the Fittest is included, along with all of those initially advertised UE5 QOL changes, etc. And now, the third and latest version to be displayed and announced by Wildcard, coming to us with this June 30th Community Crunch announcement number 368. And this is where things start to drastically change. ASA will be launching into early access at a price point of $44.99 with a launch discount, once it is complete, at $39.99. ASA will leave early access sometime in late 2024 once all the content has finished its next-gen remastering. It will now launch with just the island. no server transfers at launch, a delayed sunsetting of the older ASE official network set now at September 30th, and that was pretty much it for this third version. Okay, recap out of the way, now let's move on to these huge red flag items. And these are items that really concern me, and honestly, they should concern you as well. Now, as they say, the devil is in the details, and these could be honest omissions from the statements by Wildcard, or they could be planned. I mean, I have my hunches and strong suspicions when it comes to how Ark Survival Ascended will be launched and supported, but for now, let's just dive right in. Number one red flag for everyone has to be the fact that Wildcard is launching Ark Survival Ascended into early access, where it will remain until late 2024. Now, this is odd, considering that Ark Survival Evolved officially released out of early access way back in August 2017, so that's, what, 6 years ago? And it's not like ASA is a completely new game, like, say, Ark 2 is. It is a reworked or remastered, whatever adjective you choose to use, version of Ark Survival Evolved. And going back into early access is concerning for a bevy of reasons. First and most obvious is that while in early access, Wildcard could just go full vaporware. They could pull the plug on all ASA development to focus in on Ark 2. I mean, it would be a completely stupid-ass move to try and pull off, but they could in theory do it. Second is that while in early access, players will become alpha or beta testers for Wildcard, unpaid of course, and I know some of you will respond that you've been beta testers and reporting bugs ever since ASE launched, and yeah, I get it. But when in early access, Wildcard can do what they want. Fix it, don't fix it, it's their call, and screw you. Third is that games that release into early access are missing content and features. All those promises and the content announcements from late March and early April could all be missing when Ark Survival Ascended launches. Early access status gives Wildcard the protection to say, oh well, you know, we didn't have time to include it. And finally, how about that price point? I've seen some real gems appear out of early access, like Subnautica, which I think launched at something like $18 and slowly went up in price as it went to full launch, but $44.99 for ASA into early access with just the island and promises of more to come is way too steep. That's AAA pricing for an incomplete product, and from a studio that's no longer considered indie or startup. I mean, there's just so many red flags when it comes to this early access launch plan, and all of them should concern you. Number two red flag are the missing feature descriptions and content that was advertised in the first two ASA announcements. And by the way, that's why I gave you those 3 recaps and reviewed them for you. Notice how in this latest bundle announcement, there is no mention of Survival of the Fittest, which had major write-ups when Ark Survival Ascended was first announced. Also, with this latest early access announcement from June 30th, there's no recap, or should I say reassurance, of the additions like cross-platform multiplayer, anti-cheat, or any of the multitude of QOL, balance, and gameplay changes Wildcard advertised. Now, when items begin to disappear from subsequent announcements, that's usually because they're not going to be included, and the list of included features from the March 31st announcement to now has greatly shrunk in size and scope. Number 3 is really an extension of number 2, and it's kind of a missed item here, but notice how that promised new canonical story expansion map for Ark Survival Ascended, you know, the one that was set to release late this year, is nowhere mentioned in the latest announcement. It was officially set up to release before some of the reworked canonical maps, and now, poof, it's just nowhere to be found. Where is it? What happened to it? What are the future plans for this new DLC? Again, there is nothing here mentioning anything about it, so in theory, it could be outright canceled. Number 4 red flag goes to the heart of this whole official server sunsetting and how all of this will work. Now, if the dates are to be followed, and if these are accurate based on Wildcard statements, there's to be a period of time in late September that the official or older ASE servers will shut down, and then your guess is as good as mine as to what will happen until the official ASA servers begin to spool up again. I mean, there's a time gap in there that has not been accounted for, and that could leave official players unable to play Ark for weeks, possibly a month or months. And then red flag number 5, the huge elephant in the room. What will happen, and ultimately, what will all of this mean to Ark 2? Because right now, it's said to be releasing in late 2024, possibly spring 2025 if those reports were accurate. But as of right now, again, it's slated for late 2024, which happens to overlap quite a bit with ASA's time frame. Now, on a good day, Wildcard struggles with getting updates out on time. I mean, could you imagine if they were simultaneously trying to finish up ASA's UE5 remaster, handling new content for that game, bug fixes, QOL improvements, new creature submissions and additions, and then everything that Ark 2 would tack on top of that? I mean, I don't give that scenario a snowball in hell's chance of coming out with a positive outcome. Something's going to have to give. Either ASA's continuation is halted, as in that vaporware scenario I touched on earlier. Maybe Ark 2 is heavily delayed, or, maybe both. That whole early access status for ASA should really concern fans of this franchise, because that really gives Wildcard all the freedom to release what they want, when and if they want, and also to just pull the plug and move on. Now, I'm sure there's other tidbits I've missed. Maybe I've described something incorrectly, and if so, I do apologize for that. But as always, I do openly welcome your feedback about anything Ark related. Make sure to sound off in the comments section below. If you haven't done so already, remember to smash that sub button and ring the notifications bell to receive my latest upload alerts. Also, likes, comments, and shares are greatly appreciated. You can find and follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and over in my open community Discord server, links to all of which can be found in the video description and pinned comments below. Shout out to the nearly 124,000 of you that have taken the leap and hit subscribe, and as always, a special thanks goes out to my patrons over on Patreon. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.